Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you so much for coming out today to our Know Your Rights Immigration Workshop. My name is Benga Ogunjimi, and I'm the director of the Nigerian Center. And before we get started, so we can make this a little bit interactive, if you wouldn't mind chatting in the chat box where you are joining us from, that would be wonderful. Okay, so far we see two people. Okay, more. We see London, England, Washington, D.C., Nairobi, Kenya, Worcester, uh, Massachusetts, Boston, Maryland. Wonderful, wonderful, excellent. Up, okay. We see Springfield, Chicago, Illinois here. Okay, this is wonderful. We have a diverse audience joining from multiple locations. So we are going to get right into it right now. So today we're going to be hearing from Attorney Chike Ogbuehi, and he will be speaking on National Interest Waiver, how to self-petition for an employment visa, or alternatively is employment-based green card. He will be introducing himself, talking about himself shortly, but before he does that, uh, Attorney Chike is from his law firm, but it's part of an organization who is a partner of the Nigerian Center called NALA, which is Nigerian American Lawyers Association. He's also one of our attorneys that supports us oftentimes at the center, and he really has a specialization and a passion to really help folks get the American dream using this pathway of employment-based visas. So we are so honored that he's here to support us today. But before he comes to further present, I want to talk a little bit about the Nigerian Center for those who might be joining us for the very first time. And to do so, I'm going to play a short video that talks about the work that we do here at the Nigerian Center. My name is Benga Ogunjimi, and I'm the founder and executive director of the Nigerian Center. The Nigerian Center is the very first Nigerian American immigrant and community center. While we are called the Nigerian Center, we serve all minority and all immigrant groups in the United States. In many immigrant communities across the country and around the world, whether they're Chinese or Jewish or Latinos or even Ethiopians, there is an actual location members of those communities can walk into to support the American dream and American experience. While the Nigerian community individually has prospered, we now have an opportunity as a community to have our own Nigerian Center. I am most excited to be a part of the Nigerian Center because we are a resource hub. And we know that while a lot of Nigerians we may know come into the country and they have a connection here or there is a huge population that don't have access. I can speak to thinking about maybe 30, 40 years ago when my parents came to the country. And while my dad came to the country through education, my mom came through a lottery. And when she got here, she had to go do things the regular way. You know, she came in New York, hustled, worked at McDonald's for like 2 weeks, and from McDonald's, she started getting, you know, other menial jobs before she was able to meet my dad. They got married, they had children. My mom didn't go back to school. Until she was like 40 to finally start her career. And I know that if there was something like the Nigerian Center, she could have been afforded opportunities, access information on how to go to school or how to start her own business if that's what she wanted to venture into. I remember my uncle, I think I was like 10. He got deported. I haven't seen him in years because he can't come back in this country. If he had had the resources that the Nigerian Center offered, maybe it would be a different story. As a pastor, and I can speak confidently for the church community, a lot of pastors struggle with the kinds of immigration challenges that their members are having. And sometimes when we pastors meet, we joke about the fact that there's this thing that is, the don't ask, don't tell kind of thing, principle that most Nigerians are engaging in. They don't tell you what they are going through. Some of them are dying in silence. By the time they speak up, sometimes it's too late. And I know that as a pastor, I could have, Nigerian Center will have come handy in helping people to know what is right, having the right information, speak to the right attorney, have right representation in court, and just to make the journey easier and smoother in the United States.
People come here from different paths, and for the same main reason is to get a better life, a better situation for their family. So there are numerous ways, numerous paths to the United States and to citizenship. So we help people with family-based immigration, employment-based immigration, asylum, refugee cases, student visas, pretty much everything that the law allows us to assist people with the process of immigration.
Just having this center here, it's just people identified that looks just like us, who we can get the resource from. I mean, this is something that even me as a grown-up young person just wanted to come. I wanted to know that it belongs here. I'm just happy that this is here. I wish that my mom and dad, they were still alive to witness this experience.
From the time my parents came from Kenya, they immigrated to New Jersey, and that's where they actually met. It took years for my mom to find employment. My dad has stayed at the same job for 25 plus years in fear of not being able to find other employment. Not even that, being able to purchase a home, it took them 25 years to buy their dream home. Having the healthcare aspect and having health insurance for my siblings and I. Nigerian Center is providing a service from all crosses across the board for immigrants.
And Nigerian Center provides opportunities with immigration and naturalization, provide home ownership opportunities, access to capital, language classes, and cultural programs.
Learning about the Nigerian Center was a godsend. Growing up, I used to think about how we can share our experiences and our culture. And oftentimes, Nigerian people are so interested in giving back, but there are few opportunities and motives to do so. So when I heard about the Nigerian Center, it just clicked. We're talking about home ownership. We're talking about financial literacy. We're talking about immigration services, not only for people from our background, diaspora, but for everybody else as well who can gain from it. I see the Nigerian Center not only as an opportunity to celebrate our culture, but to also share it as well.
I welcome you to be a part of the journey and to be a part of the experience. Welcome to the Nigerian Center. Okay, so I just want to jump right into our upcoming events and opportunities to get involved. I am extremely proud to announce the Nigerian Center just recently was designated as an IRS community center. So starting tomorrow, February 2024, we are going to be helping our community file taxes for free. And you can file your taxes for free at the Nigerian Center by an IRS employee or volunteer that is IRS certified. Also, you don't have to walk into the center. Virtual services will also be accessible. So you can go to the website right now. February 8th, there's a press conference that we have where we can take questions for that. Please, if you go to our event page, please register for that. It's going to be Nigerian Center and the IRS and some of our team members that'll be providing services to the community. As you already know, we have every Thursday in Washington, D.C., our walk-in immigration clinic. And that program is running all through the year. If you're in the Washington, D.C. area this Thursday and every Thursday, you can come and speak to an attorney for free at the Nigerian Center. If you're not in the Washington, D.C. area, there's a small fee to be able to do so. And within 24 hours or so, you should be contacted by a lawyer. So please feel free to avail yourself these opportunities as well. I quickly want to talk about opportunities to get involved in what we're doing. After this event, this particular event is being recorded and it's going to be made available on our YouTube page. You can also go to our media page to get access to all the previous videos that we have, whether it is immigration or asylum-based, family-based, immigration, employment-based immigration, work authorizations. All the recordings are available. ITIN numbers are all available on our websites as well. Volunteer opportunities. If you want to volunteer at the Nigerian Center, please go to nigeriancenter.org/serve to volunteer with us. We may not get back to you immediately. Please do not give up. We currently have 2 language classes happening now in Yoruba and in Yoruba and Igbo. If you're a native speaker, we're looking for language assistance to volunteer there. If in the Washington, D.C. area, you can volunteer at the clinic. There are several opportunities, so just please reach out to us and see how we may be able to be of service to us. We do have a community partners. Our lawyer speaking today came through us to one of our partners, NALA, through the Nigerian Community Partners, Nigerian American Lawyers Association. If you're connected to a community organization, nonprofit, faith-based, for-profit media, please go to our website, nigeriancenter.org/community partners to join. If you're not following us on social media, please do so today. We are active on all the social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn, Nigerian Center or the Nigerian Center. Speaking opportunities, if you think you should be the one presenting this workshop and not our attorney speaking, or you have a complimentary issue area or subject matter expertise to share with our community, please sign up on our speaking page as well to let us know. We do have book talks as well, financial workshops, cultural workshops, immigration workshops. So reach out to see how there might be opportunities with that. Lastly is, if you're not yet a donor to the Nigerian Center, I want to send a special appeal to consider to do so today. At the Nigerian Center, we are all a volunteer team-led organization. It takes contributions of individuals like the people on this call to make these life-changing programs possible. And oftentimes when we see systemic level type of impact, it's very easy to discount ourselves, thinking that our money cannot make a difference. So if you're not yet donating the Nigerian Center, please consider doing that today. The best way, a lot of people reach out and say, this is a great initiative, how can I become a part of it? The best way to support Nigerian Center is to become a recurring donor. And you can start your recurring donation on our website at any amount, even if it's $1. Everyone on this call should be a Nigerian Center donor because it's a community organization and it takes a community to create a change. So I'm appealing that please consider supporting Nigerian Center today financially. We are 501c3, our donations are tax deductible. So you are going to get benefits for supporting us as well. But again, please do not wait till you can write us a check for $1 million. You can start with $1 today. Every single one should be able to do so. Now, before our presenter comes, I want to bring Attorney April, if she's online, to talk briefly about our clinic and just give an overview about our immigration services, and then Attorney Chika will come shortly. Is April on? Yes, she is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. So if you're able to come into the clinic, I think it's really important, even if you already have an attorney who's assisting you, to get a second opinion. Even if you've already been told you have no options, come in, get a second opinion with us to see if there's anything that can be done. You're not obligated to work with me or any other Nigerian Center volunteer. It's just an opportunity for you to hear what your options are, just in case you haven't done that. So please come in and talk to us anytime. Well, on Thursday.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, April. At this moment, the person we've all been waiting for, Attorney Chike, we'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you. That was a good introduction. I appreciate it.
By the way, do you have a presentation you're sharing or no?
No,
Okay.
you all are just going to endure hearing me ramble for the next 30 minutes, and then I will open up the floor. So just bear with me. I am one of those people that despise PowerPoints. So when the option was presented to me, I said no. I will not do that to myself, and I will not do that to you guys. And in addition, let me tell a little bit of background story here. So back in my military days here at the U.S. Army, whenever we come in for trainings and there is all of these PowerPoints, I could not help myself. I would sleep 99.9% of the time. Right? PowerPoints have a way of putting me to sleep. So I decided I wasn't going to do that to myself, and I wasn't going to do that to you guys. And considering the fact that it is probably bedtime for some of us, it's almost 7 o'clock, end of the day. But let me just take the time and just talk about employment-based visas and immigration processes here. I would recommend we all hold our questions to the very end. I will try to catch all the questions. I don't know what the sequence is, Benga and Jumoke. If you want them typing in the questions here, in the chat bar or whatever the process is, please let them know. All right. So employment-based immigration. Before we even get there, immigration into the United States, you can do it on a number of ways, right? There are a number of avenues through which you can come to the United States. A first category, which a lot of you are already familiar with, is the non-immigrant visas, right? The non-immigrant visas it implies that you are coming here for a specified purpose, and when you're done with that purpose, you are going back to where you're coming from, right? And it's just like it sounds, non-immigrants. You're not immigrating to the United States. And a typical example of this kind of visas are your B1, B2 travel, your visitors visa and pleasure visas, your student visas, those will be non-immigrant visas, and the host of them, right? If you're coming here for school, you're stating that, hey, I am coming for school, and when I'm done with my education, I am going back to wherever I'm coming from. We know that for a lot of us, a lot of things happen somewhere in between, and we end up staying. But at the time of applying, that is what you are actually saying, right? So leaving the non-immigrant side. On the immigrant side of things, there are also a number of ways. At the top of that food chain is the family-based immigration petitions, followed by the employment-based. You have your DV visas and the host of them, right? And when I say family-based, I mean, hey, one family member, is it a permanent resident or a U.S. citizen? And by virtue of their relationship or your relationship to this particular family member, they are able to extend benefits to those other beneficiaries. And within the family side, the beneficiaries are pretty much limited to spouse, children, and people who have immediate relations to these family members. However, my focus today is on the employment-based. If you come to me for immigration visa, for family-based or non-immigrant visa, I'll tell you, hey, for the non-immigrant visas, you can do it yourself. For the family-based, you should probably talk to someone else. I try not to touch those. Not that I cannot do it, but I try not to touch them for a number of reasons. On the employment side, which is the bulk of our focus today, the employment visas are broken down into 5 categories, and the USCIS labels them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, literally. And they use the EB, simply meaning employment-based. So you hear EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, EB5. I'll touch on them briefly, and then I will focus on EB1 and EB2. So, EB1. Who qualifies for EB1? Anybody who has exceptional abilities, anyone who qualifies as an outstanding professor or researcher, or anyone who qualifies as a multinational manager or executive. And these terms are expressly defined by the USCIS, right? What does an extraordinary ability imply? Burna Boy would have an extraordinary ability in arts and music, right? Osimhen, there you go. He will have extraordinary ability in football and soccer and sports, right? Let's see. Tony, what's his name? The CEO of UBA, right? He would have extraordinary ability in business, right? Even my dear friend Benga here would have extraordinary ability in nonprofit organizations and managing those kind of entities. So sometimes we think of extraordinary abilities in a broader sense. However, for the purpose of your USCIS petition, you have to think of it as both in terms of the broad sense as well as the specific endeavor. Now, the outstanding professors, it is just as it sounds. It is not enough for you to be teaching one classes or two at a college level. It is not enough for you to be in a higher institution or employed in a higher institution. You literally have to show certain prongs. You have to meet certain requirements in order to satisfy the outstanding professor requirements. Multinational managers and executives. If you have a company here in the United States and there is another one out there in Nigeria or Ghana or the UK, and you want to bring one of your executives from wherever country to the United States to help in managing your entity out here, that also would qualify under this multinational manager and executive. And these are the three prongs that are the three categories under the EB1. Under the EB2, we have the first one is the advanced degree. So you have to have an advanced degree, and what is classified as an advanced degree is you should have at least a bachelor's. If you have a bachelor's, you have to have at least 5 to 7 years post-bachelor's work experience. Preferably, you should have your master's, right? And highly preferred is if you have your PhD or somewhere in the works towards getting your PhD. So if you have those advanced degree, you can petition under the EB2 categories. Let me go back to EB1 very briefly. Under the EB1, it's all self-petition, right? You do not need an employer to file for you as an extraordinary ability or the multinational manager or all of that. Certain requirements, certain documentation you probably need to provide from your employer if you are coming under the multinational manager. So flipping back to the EB2, and it might be difficult to track as I'm flipping back and forth as my brain is running. On the EB2, I touched on the advanced degree, and then the second is the exceptional abilities. Your exceptional abilities is pretty much like as stated in EB1. However, the categories is under EB2 is one of those things that we will touch on very shortly. The EB2 have the option of your employer petitioning for you. However, you also have the option of self-petitioning under EB2. If you're petitioning under EB2, you have to request the National Interest Waiver, and which others will refer to as NIW. So when you hear EB2 NIW, that's literally what they are talking about. They want to self-petition because they either they have the exceptional ability or they have the advanced degree. Okay. However, if your employer is filing for you under the EB2, they will have to submit the PALM application, which is the labor certification. And I will touch on that very briefly as well shortly. EB3, skilled workers, professionals, unskilled workers. EB3 is like the catch-all for, everyone who meets certain requirements and the employer is willing to submit the petition on their behalf. All the EB3s requires labor certification and PALM application. So moving on to EB4, very briefly, religious workers, pastors, preachers, imams, they all fall under these religious workers if they're coming into the United States for the purpose of carrying out or fulfilling their ecclesiastical callings, right? That visa option is available to them, as well as special immigrant juvenile. And I think that's one aspect that is really tapped into. And I can touch on that very, very briefly. Special immigrant juveniles. Say, for example, you have a family out here in the United States, and like we know, a lot of immigrant family kind of go through this process where they all come out here. Things are very difficult. Parents split up, everyone is struggling to adapt and so on and so forth. So one of the parents is left to take care of the kids and so on, and those kind of related circumstances. The special immigrant juvenile petition allows the children to go through the courts. It has to be through the courts of a court of competent jurisdictions anywhere within the 50 states of the United States. The courts must have that power to grant that special juvenile order. When they grant it, saying, hey, this particular person, more often than not, they would say, hey, one of the parents should be the custodian of the children. So the goal is not to take away the children from their family. However, the goal is to keep the family together, but at the same time, put the children in a position where they are better able to take advantage of the social nets available here in the United States. So after the court enters these orders, they will, will submit those orders to the USCIS. The USCIS reviews, and within a period of time, those children become permanent residents, right? Now, what that does for the family is those children over time, when they become of age, can in turn file for their parents, even if need be. But at the end of the day, it sets them up for college. It sets them up for life, right? So if they become permanent residents, it puts them on the path to citizenship by the time they are turning 18. So I think that's that aspect of that EB4 that is often overlooked. And I would encourage our families out there to look into that. And if you have any questions on that, let me know. I'll point you in the right direction. And then finally, EB5. If you have $1 million or a lot of money you want to invest in the U.S. economy for specific purpose, for specific reasons, in specific geography that impacts certain groups, yes, then you can put you on your path to permanent residence and citizenship under the EB5 visas. So that's a summary of all of it. But now let me come back to EB1 and EB2. And that's where I'm going to be spending most of my time, because the EB1, EB2s are self-petitioning. You do not need an employer. You do not need a job offer. You can do it on your own, right? And when I say you can do it on your own, I don't mean you can, I am not suggesting that you should go submit a petition on your own. You still need the assistance of an attorney who understands the process. And the reason you definitely need that is because it is tedious to understand the requirements, number one. And then number two, you also need to understand the criteria. Because a lot of people think, hey, just because I have advanced degree simply means I qualify. Yes, you have an advanced degree. That is only one of the 4 other things you need to show, right? So having an advanced degree doesn't automatically get you what you're requesting. It gets you, it puts your foot in the door, but it doesn't get you to that finish line. So EB1. Benga, are you okay if I tell stories?
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. All right. I like to refer to them as war stories. And when I say war stories, it's just a case that I've worked on, right? Or my team have worked on. So EB1, recently we worked on one where this journalist is from Nigeria, came out here to the United States, have been working here in the United States, but based on the visa that he came out with, he is not able to do anything outside of the realm of journalism, right? He has some books that he has published, well-selling books. It's listed on Amazon. He is well known. He is teaching, working with other professors across the United States on literature and all of that. So he reached out and said, "Hey, I am really struggling because the Nigerian employer is really not paying that much, right? And they pay me in Naira, and by the time you convert it to US dollars, you really cannot, it's not enough to sustain yourself out here." So his question was, what do we do? So we went through a checklist, and we said, "Hey, tell us the nature of your work." And he's like, "Hey, I'm a journalist, and I've done this, and this." And my first question is, "Have you received any awards?" And he said, "Yes, I was nominated and won the NMMA awards." It's like the big Nigerian Journalist Awards back in 2013, 2014, and 2015 for, some write-ups that he published in the nation's newspaper, among others. And I said, okay, that's checklist number one. He has a national award, national level award. Now, for you to be able to show extraordinary ability on the EB1, you have to have either a national award or a international award. A typical example of an international award will be if you've won the Olympics, right? If you have won the World Cups, the World Cup for soccer, right? Lionel Messi will be someone who qualifies under the extraordinary ability because he has a lot of international awards. And I'm trying to think of other international awards that would qualify here. Let's see. So there is also International Journalist Awards. I think a lot of fields. I know in my field of law, there are international awards, whether from the International Court of Justice or, I don't know, some international law firms that, that does all sorts of international accreditations and so on. So you pick up one of those international awards and you're able to specify the criteria for the award. That is great, right? Now, if you don't have an international award, that's okay. Then the next question is, do you have a national recognition award, right? So if you were awarded the Order of the Nation in Nigeria by the past president, President Buhari, then that's good. That's a national recognition, right? If you have won, going back to international awards, if you won the AFCON Cup, right? In the case of John Mikel Obi, that would be great, right? And stuff like that. That counts for international. On the national side, right, within your field of practice or whatever you're doing, whether it's in science, whether it's in politics, whether it's in literature, whether it's in sports, whether it's in business, whatever you're doing, if you have a national-based recognition and award that says, hey, for you to be able to get this award, you have to have satisfied this criteria, and the pool of competitors is, I don't know, 3,000 to 5,000 professionals in the same field, and you were at the top for this particular year. That satisfies that. So when you show that you have that level of award, then we will have to build on the rest of the other criteria. Okay, and this criteria would include, hey, your membership in professional organizations, your published material if you have publications, your write-ups, if you have been nominated, if you have been on a panel where you discuss certain issues that impact that industry, if you have been called as a judge to review the work of others within that field. Peer-reviewed journals and stuff like that would count towards that, right? Evidence of your original scientific work, we'll have to collect all of that stuff, as well as, if you're, for example, if you're an artist who draws or paints and stuff like that, and your work has been exhibited at the, at one of the museums, right? Whether it's at the national level or international level, that would qualify for those for their extraordinary ability. Now, the criteria is not that different for the other categories under EB1. It's pretty much the same, but slight difference. For example, under the outstanding professors and researcher, you have to have at least 3 years experience in teaching and research in that field, right? And then you must be coming to the United States to continue in that research. And going back to stories, this lady out in Nigeria, phenomenal. She is into pharmacology, I want to say, out of the University of Ibadan. Came out to the United States, did her postdoc after her PhD, went back to Nigeria, continued teaching. Well, her publications is, I don't know, she has over 2,000 to 3,000 citations on her work alone and all of that stuff. Her publications are numerous and so on. We looked at her and we thought, she could come in as an outstanding professor, right? Because she has all the accolades to make that happen. However, right, we decided that we made a different choice to use the other processes and bringing her and her family in. But that's a story for another day. So that's the outstanding professor side of things. And then on the multinational manager and executive, it is as it spells out. You have an entity here in the US, you have another entity internationally. You must have been employed in that organization for at least 1 year, right? For at least 1 year preceding the petition. And then your US petitioning employer will submit these, will be willing to, sign off on these documents and so on. It is labor certification is not required, but the your US-based employer will have to provide some documentations and be able to show that the legal entity has some qualifications and certifications to be able to play that role for you, and to also show that you actually have a managerial capacity within the organization. I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, just put your questions down. We will be happy to clarify them. All right. So EB1 is the cream of the crops. I would often tell people that this is the employment-based visas is how the United States cherry picks the cream of the crops from across the world to come to the United States. And a significant amount of researchers and high-level workers here in the United States are not US born. And I think the numbers are upwards of 50 to over 50%, right? People who are coming here to do their PhDs and staying and doing all this phenomenal work. The immigration system helps in capturing them using this, using the EB1 and the EB2. All right, EB2. EB2 is It's probably more familiar to a lot of people because if you are coming to the United States for your education and you have upwards of your bachelor's degree, and into your master's and your PhD, you should be thinking EB2, right? The only hesitation in thinking EB2 will be the visa bulletin. There you go. Because of the time lapse. So your EB1 is current. If your I-140 under the EB1 is approved today, you go ahead and you adjust your status and you're in, right? In no time, you have your EAD, your employment authorization card, and in no time you get your permanent residence and you're welcome to the US, to the United States. However, with the EB2s, there is a significant delay. It's about, I think, 10 months right now. Yes, it's 10 months. It's really not that significant. And what that simply means is from the time that your I-140 is approved under EB2, you kind of have to wait for your time, for your priority date to be current in order for you to put in your I-485, which is the adjustment of status. And registration of permanent residence. But EB2, so you have bachelor's degree or 5 years post-bachelor's degree progressive work, right? Or you have your master's, or you're in the process of working on your PhD, or you have your PhD, okay? If you have those, that's check number 1, right? Check number 2 will be if you have exceptional abilities, right? If you have exceptional abilities in business, in science, in arts, and whatever it is, it's still, so you will hear this exceptional ability, well, extraordinary ability if you are in EB1 level, right? That's extraordinary ability. And this one, you're saying exceptional ability. And I just finished up a case recently where this one very smart lady works for AARP out in Utah, and they do cancer research. And you know, we got letters of recommendation as to her exceptional abilities from her employer. She is really good at her research. She's willing to sleep at the lab for 3 days consecutively and only eat crackers for the following. And that's not what makes her extraordinary. As in, she's just good, right? And everybody was willing to speak as to that. And we submitted her petition, and she got it, right? So you either have that advanced degree or you're able to show that you have extraordinary abilities. Now, with your EB2, you have the option of your employer filing for you. Once again, if they file for you, that's your PAM application. If your PAM application is submitted and approved, your I-140 has 99.99% chance of success, right? So for those, if you have an employer who's willing to do that for you, I would recommend doing that. Right now, we also know that there are a lot of employers are hesitant to submit immigration petition for aliens. And when I say aliens, I don't mean, you know, in the sci-fi sense. I mean in the USCIS term of art. So so if your employer is filing for you, it's easy. They submit all of these documents and run it through the Department of Labor. Life is good. It gets approved. Good, I would say over 90% of the time. All right, and you move things forward. However, where the challenge comes in is if your employer is not filing for you. Right? If your employer is not filing for you and you are self-petitioning your EB2. And in that instance, you will have to show that you will still have to show that you either have the advanced degree or the exceptional abilities. And in addition, you have to request the National Interest Waiver, right? And by requesting the National Interest Waiver, you have to meet certain criteria, we call it prongs. right? And this prong says, number one, your proposed endeavor, right? And this is where, let me go back. When you have your diploma, your education, that is one factor, right? Now, when you are requesting your NIW, National Interest Waiver, now you have these three additional factors that you have to satisfy in order for your petition to be successful. So now you have your education, you have to show, and now the focus shifts from your education to accumulation of other things, right? Which includes your proposed work, your proposed endeavor. So the question is, what are you wanting to do here in the United States? What is your interest? What do you how are you intending to impact the economy of the United States, to the American way of life, right? And for your petition to be successful, you have to show that your proposed endeavor has substantial merit and national importance. Now, what that means, you have to go to the USCIS manual and kind of catch up on that. And substantial, and I'll just tell you in a nutshell. Substantial merit simply means it must be a good work that is able to impact a broader population of people, right? National importance, substantial merit, right? So let's see, which of the cases do I want to touch on here? Let's go back to the pharmacology lady coming out of Nigeria, right? We made an argument on her behalf that she is coming out to the United States to continue to work on her research, all right? And as to substantial merit and national importance, it was important. It would impact the United States if we are better able to develop herb-based medications and stuff like that, right? Those were that would definitely impact the United States significantly, knowing that the U.S. drug industry is a $1 trillion industry, right? So if we are coming up with these herb-based options that as opposed to the synthetic drugs and so on, that would definitely have a significant national importance. In addition to your substantial merit and national importance arguments, you also have to show that you, based on your skill, your education, your expertise, and your track record of success, that you are well positioned to advance your proposed endeavor. So let's see how I can restate that in a plain language. So yes, I have my PhD. I have all of this stuff, right? All of these accolades and recognition. Now the question is, have I done anything in that field to show that based on what I am saying or based on my arguments, that I can actually accomplish my work, right? So say for example, someone have a master's in sports product development, and they come up and they want to submit an EB to NIW, and they'd say, hey, I am intending, my proposed endeavor is in designing and in designing sports products specific to women and girls, because most of the shoes out there are not especially designed for women or girls. It is all geared towards the guys, because the guys are the big guys in sports, the money is in men's sports and all of that, right? So in other words, if you're a girl who wants to play soccer, if you're a girl who wants to play basketball, right, pray that you are able to find one of the male shoes that fits you very well, or else you'll be struggling, right? It will be rough. So so my argument is, hey, I have designed a number of shoes for Nike, for Adidas, and Puma. I submit a number of my design and prototypes to them. Well, not necessarily prototypes, but just design, something tangible that they can see. Now, by doing that, you are showing that yes, this proposed endeavor is not just it's more than an ideology. It is something that you are actually able to do, right? So in other words, you are well positioned to advance your proposed work. And then the final prong is on the balance, it will be beneficial to the United States to waive the job offer and the labor certification. And if you remember, when your employer is filing for you, they submit the labor certification, right? They submit the PAM application. Now, in this instance, you are saying, hey, please waive this labor certification on my behalf based on my extraordinary abilities, based on my advanced education and my ability to impact the United States economy, the way of life, socially, health-wise, everything, right? I am able to impact at a national level. And it doesn't have to be necessarily national. It could be regional, right? But you are not just, it is not enough for you to be a very smart teacher sitting in a classroom and you are impacting those kids and teaching them 1, 2, 3 or algebra and so on. That's not enough. The scope of your impact has to be wider than a mere classroom or a mere town in that sense. So that is that. Let's see. How are we doing on time?
We're doing great. So there was a question you already answered, the difference between NIW and EB visas. The next question, by the way, folks, if you have questions, please type in your questions in the chat box and then we would read out the questions. So a couple of questions I already have here. Okay. Can a EB petition denied, can it be appealed?
Well, yes. The answer is yes. It can be appealed, but when you get a denial, your appeal, you will have to show meet certain requirements in order for you to appeal, right? You'll be requesting for a case to be reopened, to be reconsidered based on, hey, you think, say for example, I worked on a case where we received an RFE. We sent out our response, big old packets as our response to the RFE. Well, 2 months later, we get a denial, right? And in the denial letter, they said, hey, we did not receive your letter. We did not receive your response to the RFE. And we said, no, not today. Get behind me. Oh, you complete that for yourself. So we put together an appeal and we included the dates we mailed out our response to the RFE. We printed out the entire response again, attached it, and sent it out again as part of our appeal. Well, it came back and it was approved, right? So you have to be able to show, or you have to be able to review the grounds of denial in order for you to be better prepared for your appeal. And something that the USCIS does is they, at least when it comes to employment-based visas, they are very good in articulating the grounds for denial when denied, as opposed to the non-immigrant visa side. So if you guys know, I'm sure everyone have someone who has gone to the US Embassy in Nigeria or wherever, right? And they have been denied. They don't tell you much. They can deny you for not liking your face, right? They can deny you for just everything that has nothing to do with you, right? Say, for example, I'm the interviewing officer. I have a runny stomach and I just show up and I'm having a bad day. I just deny everybody and just and go home that day, right? And I do not have to provide any cause for denial on that side of things. However, on the employment-based petitions, they have a duty to provide the grounds for denial.
Excellent. Can you speak to the potential and the experience component of an application, particularly with the EB is a 2 or 1, when a candidate have to demonstrate they have a potential vis-a-vis an experience? What is the distinction?
All right. If you have the experience is always better than potential. And I'm not saying that you cannot get your petition approved based on potential. But if you have your experience, I would say showcase it in such a way that that they are able to understand. Recently, we worked on a case where this guy is a firefighter, aerodrome firefighter, right? He does all the cool stuff. I was reading through his work and I was amazed that, people do these things, right? He's been doing it for over 20 years and that is good, right? Now, however, if you coming in and you are saying, I have a potential to be a high-level firefighter, right? Well, it's not an impossible climb, right? But it is a harder climb. So you kind of have to make an argument in such a way that is compelling enough that everyone would believe. And a good way to do that actually is, number one, yes, you don't have the experience, but you do have the education, right? If you have the education, so yes, you've gotten all the theoretical side. Well, now what kind of student were you? Were you the one who was sitting in the front and getting all the A's and having good interaction with your professors? Or were you the troublemaker at the back who is getting D's and giving your professors headache? Because at the end of the day, you will need those professors to give you letters of recommendations, right? Are they willing to speak as to your abilities, right? Yes, you have these potentials. Who is willing to stand in for you? It's one thing for your professor to give you a letter of recommendation. It's another thing for your mom to give you a letter of recommendation. We all know my mom will write whatever I tell her to write, right? But I know that my professors will not, right? So I think I hope that makes sense.
Yes. Kemi, if you want to unmute yourself and ask the question so I don't miss any detail, you can.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening. So I'm asking, I am a first-year PhD student in the US. I'm doing a PhD in architecture, urban planning, and built environment. So I'm asking, could the abstract for my proposed thesis count as a proposed endeavor? That's one. My professional membership back in Nigeria, could that also count? Like, could I hold on to that to count as anything, as well as my TA award here in school? Could that count as well? Thank you.
Yes. So 3 things she mentioned. Proposed thesis, right? Whatever your dissertation is going to be on, at least you've gotten a general idea of what your research for the next 3 to 4 or 5 years, sometimes 7 to 10, is going to look like. The PhD journey is an interestingly long one. For those who have the capacity for it, I applaud you. The second one is the professional membership. And the third one is your teaching assistants award. The answer is cumulatively, yes, they are all great things, right? Your proposed thesis is great. It gives you a great idea as to what your proposed endeavor argument would be focusing on. And I'll tell you this, we worked on a case with a semiconductor PhD candidate, well, not necessarily a candidate at the time. He was a second year PhD student from the University of Idaho. And working on his case, he had his proposed dissertation topic. He had one publication in the work. I think while we were working through his packet, he finally submitted it and it was approved. It wasn't published, but it was approved for publication, right? He was a part of the semiconductor and Department of Energy professional organization. And as you guys all know, the US is pouring billions of dollars in microchip development, competing heavily with China and all of that. And by the time he was in his third year, he had his permanent residence in his hands. But Kemi, to answer your question, yes, these are all good things. You are definitely in the right direction. Your TA award is great. I would say, I think the big thing that I would say you should keep in mind is if you are able to understand who is funding your research, right? If a federal entity, say for example, like in that case that I just mentioned, the Department of Energy was funding his research, right? The Department of Energy was funding pretty much his entire PhD program because his supervisor had submitted this grant request, and they had been awarded about, I don't know, $3 to $4 million worth of research funds. And this is what is funding, all the PhD guys that are working on this research that goes back to the Department of Energy and all of that, right? Now, when we were putting together his packet, we reached out to his supervisor and said, "Hey, can you provide us proof of the grant?" And she happily did. And even when sometimes you get supervisors who are not very nice, right? If it's public information, we can find it, I promise you. So most of the public grants, if it's awarded by state or federal entity, it is public information and we will find it, right? So Kemi, if your program is funded, that is good. You need to know who is funding it, how is it funded, for how much is the funds, and all of that stuff. And those are additional things that would be helpful in your petition.
Thank you. Once again, please, you can chat your questions. If you want to come to the microphone, you can use the raising your hands option, and then we can unmute and you can ask the question you have. So while we wait for the next question, I want to ask about Chike. There are some international endeavors like awards. While you may not necessarily win, you may get a certificate of participation. Does that count as an achievement of international? Can you speak to that?
Yes. That is a very good point. And the answer is yes. You just need to show criteria, right? Let me give you a good example. Someone went on the same youth service, NYSC, that almost all of us who went to school in Nigeria did. And he was nominated as the best cop. I have never heard of that award, right? But some way, somehow, he showed up with this nomination as the best copper of the year certificate. No, he was like the second runner-up of the, best copper of the year. And keep in mind that the Nigeria as a country has, these are, I don't know how many coppers are, designated every year, but it's a significantly large number, right? And as well as these certificate of participations in all of these and all of that, right? And I think sometimes in our minds we don't think much about these things. We're like, yeah, he is. I think we have some interesting names for this kind of people who are. They are the first to climb the walls. They are the first to play with the ropes. They know how to march past everybody, right? And all of that stuff. But he got all of these certificates, and surprisingly, we put in a packet for this guy based on NYSC and the recognitions he got from it. And voila, his petition was approved. Wow. So yes, Benga, yes, those certificate of participations, if you can make a good argument, say for example, out of the 5,000 people that participated in this program, right, I was nominated as the top 2, right? You didn't win it, but you were nominated, right? And you get this special recognition for it. That is great. But if it is one of these conferences where, hey, everybody who shows up get a participation certificate, that is good. I would say cumulatively, right? That counts for something. That counts towards your involvement in the professional association. That counts towards your continuous learning in that field. Because we all know when you go to these conferences, you're going out there. That's for if you actually sit down and listen, right? You're going out there to learn and to broaden your professional skills. So So yes, those are good things. And those are definitely good things to have. If you are in your master's and your PhD program, I highly encourage you to attend conferences, right? Whether you are presenting or not, attend conferences, get some certificate of participations for it. If you are able to present, that's even better. Make sure you get some documentations for your participation. If you win as the best poster in that conference, that's even better, right? But I encourage you to be out there doing these things. In my years of doing this line of work, the worst clients are those ones who have PhDs and they really do not have anything to show for their PhD. And other than their certificates, right? They graduated somehow they wrote a dissertation and defended it, but they don't have any research, any publications out there. You don't have any proof that they attended any conferences or posters or any of those kind of things. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a 4 to 5 year at minimum program. Like, why didn't you do it, right? And when they show up, they expect you to pull a rabbit out of you wherever, right, to support their petition. In that instance, we do our best in making a good arguments, but it becomes a struggle when you don't have all of these things taken care of on day-to-day basics, right, and so on.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Question from Kabiru. Kabiri.
Karibi, hi, sorry. Good evening, Benga. And good evening, Chike. Hi, my name is Karibi. So I'm currently a master's. Well, I just started this spring. I'm a master's student in management information systems in University of Illinois Springfield. Also, a graduate assistant. Yeah, I mean, I got my graduate assistant role. So my question would be more like, is there a clear pathway for master students? And then as well as when am I eligible to apply as a master's student? When I'm
done? The answer to that question depends.
Okay.
Right? So if you recall, I talked about the one lady out in Utah who works for UP doing cancer research. She is actually a master's student. She doesn't graduate until end of this year. And however, while she is going to school, she is doing significant research work. And she's been doing this research work for the last, I want to say, almost 5 years, since 2019, right? And with all of his, she had good relationship. I don't know. She had a lot of goodwill. That's what I would tell you. She had a lot of goodwill. She had a lot of good people that liked her, and they were willing to speak up for her and provide letters of recommendations and speak to her extraordinary abilities. And she got it, right? So yes, if you are in your master's program, I think the good thing that you can do for yourself is taking advantage of opportunities as they come up, right? They will, you have your TA, your teaching assistantship, that is great, right? If you can get your hands doing something productive, highly productive within that field of study, right? And you said you're into some sciences of some kind, with that 20 hours a week, plug yourself in somewhere where you're doing something at a high level that broadens your expertise in that field of study. If you can do that, I'll tell you, you don't even have to graduate for you to put in your petition, right? But if you are not able to get that high level opportunities that I just talked about, then I would say, hey, do what you can. Attend conferences, work with your professors, seek out opportunities, right? I would always use this saying that when you ask questions, you're less likely to be lost, right? Talk to your professors, help them understand. And sometimes in these high level education at your master's and PhD level, you have supervisors, you have people who you directly answer to. My recommendation is let people know where you want to be, what you want to be doing, right? And sometimes the professor will plug you in, but if you don't say something, nobody knows what you're looking for. And I hope that makes sense.
Thank you, sir.
It does. Thank you.
We're going to be running through instead of time. Anthony and then OB will go next.
Hello, this is Anthony. Thank you for this opportunity that you've created for us today. I have a master's degree. I'm a counselor by profession. I'm also a pastor. I have 25 years experience. Last week, I interviewed with University of South Carolina for my PhD application, which is supposed to start in September. And I have a cousin who lives in LA. By the grace of God, I was able to visit US myself last year twice. And he was suggesting that if I get the admission, because they're considering us right now after the interviews, that I should come into the States and apply from that place. Even for the school thing, if I get the admission, I shouldn't apply from Nairobi where I currently live. I should come into the States because I have G4 visa. And then, so I wanted to know, can I apply? Could I follow that guideline, all that? And of course, how much, if we're going to use you guys, what does it cost and all? Thank you.
All right. Let me touch on costs. We are not going to discuss cost here today. That is outside this the purview of this conversation. If you want to talk costs, let's schedule time consultation. Let's make sure that we can even take you on, right? Before we start talking money. Don't get me wrong, I love talking money. I'm an able man. Any day, anytime. If you talk money, I'll be happy to meet you there.
Understood, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bakari. All right. However, if I understand your question, you're saying, should you wait to apply until you get here and you get into the program? Is that right?
Yes, sir. I mean, if I get the admission to do PhD, I would like to then apply for EB2.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That is the best course of action. When you are outside of the United States, I don't want to say the burden of proof is high. I don't want to say it's higher, but you have a better chance when you're here. When you're here and you're already contributing to the society one way or the other, you're in a better position to be able to say, hey, I want to continue to contribute to the economy, to the way of life, to the health sector, or whatever you're doing, right? I want to continue to do this in this capacity. But when you're not here, and you're saying, hey, I want to come in and start this business, or come in and do this kind of jobs, right? First question is, do you have the necessary certifications to be able to do it here to begin with, right? For example, if you're a lawyer in Nigeria, you cannot practice here in the United States until you take the bar exam in at least one of the jurisdictions, and so on and so forth. So it's an interesting position to be when you're petitioning from outside of the United States. It is we've done it. It is doable, and my point is not that it is impossible. No, nothing is impossible when it comes to the U.S. immigration. You just need to be able to make a good argument. So yes, Anthony, yes. So when you show up, give us a call. We will be, schedule a time to talk to the Nigerian Center folks, and have someone review your positioning, and then let's talk from at that point in time.
So
thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony. April, are you still online to just kind of give an overview about our screening process for those who might want to take advantage of that?
Absolutely. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So if you want to come into the Nigerian Center, what we can do for you is at least give you a baseline of where your application falls. There are 6 general requirements, and you have to meet at least 3 of them. So we can go through with you to at least see where you are on that and give you some ideas of things you could do to strengthen your application process. We can review your applications, but we only offer limited services. So if you're doing it on your own, we can review for you. We can kind of help prep you for it. But if you want in-depth service, you want somebody who's going to be able to actually help you draft your proposed endeavor, go through every single document with you, then that's when you need to hire an attorney. One of the things that you do want to be aware of is that even if you are a native English speaker, there may be some translation issues in the way that you want to present your proposed endeavor and the way that you want to word your accomplishments, the way that you want your professors to speak about you or your other people writing recommendations to speak about you. So that is one of the things that we can help you with or attorney can help you with. Did I answer everything?
Yes, you do. And also at some point, Chike, if you wanna, we can email your contact information, but if you want us to put it in the chat box as well, that would be helpful. So you can come to the Nigerian Center if you want to contact Attorney Chike directly. We'll be providing his contact information as well. And that said, I want to unmute Obi to answer questions you have.
Obi, it's your turn.
Hey, yeah, you called me like you know me, Obi. Hi, everyone. Good evening. So I pretty much don't have question, but I'm just excited to be part of this conversation. The person that sent me the information about this section actually knew that I already have my EB2 visa. So I'm in the US and I came with EB2 visa. I've been looking for Nigerian team that are doing this for people because there's a huge market in Nigeria. Lots of people want to explore, but they don't know how to go about it. And most of the immigrant attorneys that people like me know are not Nigerian. So I was really excited to bump into this, and I'm like, okay, this is beautiful. Now we're going home. Because as a Nigerian, Chike, I'm sure you will do a fantastic job with the Nigerian Center out there. And for me, I only wanted to say that what I heard Chike talk about today is actually all the processes I've been through or I went through before I finally got my visa. I'm willing to do a peer-to-peer experience sharing if that will help at any point, which means I'm volunteering my service to Nigeria Center. Unfortunately, I don't live in DC. I currently live in Oklahoma City, but my head office is in Washington, so I come to work in DC now and then, and I go back. So I'm due to be in DC like February 12th. So for the week of February 12th. So I'm just throwing myself to you guys. If you guys need any peer-to-peer experience sharing, just feel free to get in touch. Recently, I started a YouTube channel where I felt I should share my experiences because many people come out and they don't share their experiences. So I thought people should know. I'm not an attorney. I don't know how to file for you, but I can share my experience, and I guess my experience may be able to help somebody. So that's what I'm out to tell you guys. So thank you, team, for putting this together. Thank you, Chike. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Now, if you want to volunteer for the center, once again, it's nigeriancenter.org/serve. You can also email info@nigeriancenter.org. We'll send that in a follow-up email to see how you might be able to help. Question is from Aduramo. Is there a limit to when these awards need to have happened relatively to present day? I think the point of application.
The answer is no. If you recall, the journalist, his award was back in 2013, 2014, almost 10 years ago. The question is, have you operated at that level? And if you have, that's good. It counts.
Excellent. Mr. Bakari, please, sir. You're on mute, we can hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me good now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just want to take a cue from Obi's book, from what she said by praising Attorney Chike for the wonderful work he has done, the lecture. I'm an attorney too, but I'm really excited at the depth of his knowledge and experience. Not only did he dwell through for the theoretical aspect of it, he was able to even show examples, cite examples. I'm so excited, and I thank you very much for sharing your knowledge, not only to those who are not attorneys, but also to attorneys like us. But I want to add something to what he said about siege under EB4. I think he mentioned siege over before, and he's talked about the fact that siege special immigrant juvenile status. That's what he was talking about, and he said that these special immigrants who are underage, if they are granted this siege status and given green card, they may be able to file for their parents. I just want to add a note of caution because most of the time, these special immigrants, they file under abuse of either of the parents or both parents. Mm-hmm. So if you have said that one of your parents has abused you, you may not be able to file for him when you eventually get the green card. So I just want to add that to what Attorney Chike said. Most importantly, he dwells so much about EB1 and EB2. He just mentioned this in passing. Nigerians still have not started exploring this special immigrant juvenile status under EB2, EB4. I think that's an opening that most of the immigrants from Mexico, from other South American countries, they are really exploring this, especially these Spanish-speaking people. I think it's the time Nigerians to start filing under this status, which may help abuse minors greatly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we're very close about to wrapping up. So Attorney Chike, if you can give us a closing, particularly your contact information for those who might want to contact you.
All right. I will put it right here. So it is, phone number is this. Someone did something. Finger, whatever you're doing is throwing me off.
Okay, I was just sharing my screen.
No, you are good. You're good. All right. So that's our phone number. Feel free to give us a call. Benga, would you prefer they reach out to the Nigerian Center?
Okay.
I like the idea of having that loop, right?
Okay.
It's up to you guys. You guys kind of like vet them, and if it's something you guys can take care of, you take care of it within your level. If it's something that they need to talk to me directly, they can give us a call, and we will be happy to.
Absolutely.
But I like the idea of kind of carrying the Nigerian Center along as we go on this journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for everyone who want to speak to Attorney Chike or the lawyers here, just reach out to the Nigerian Center, nigeriancenter.org/immigration. You can submit intake form there, or you can just come directly to the center, or you can pick up the telephone and call the Nigerian Center. We want to thank so much. Can we give a virtual round of applause for the fantastic job Attorney Chike just did for us? Thank you so much. Excellent. Now, for those who recently joined, I want to go over some upcoming events at the Nigerian Center. Once again, I am pleased to announce that Nigerian Center is now an official IRS community center to help community members file their taxes for free. So all through the tax seasons, right now to April 15th, you can reach out to the Nigerian Center to file your taxes for free by IRS employees, volunteers, and IRS certified tax preparers. You can come into the clinic on Thursdays, or you can submit an inquiry online and you'll be matched with a tax preparer to file your taxes. We are holding a press conference on February 8th with IRS to talk about this and take questions you may have. People like OB who want to volunteer at the center, there would also be opportunities to help at this particular tax program, both virtually and in person. So something that you want to volunteer as well, please reach out to us. But we are extraordinarily excited that this is a possibility now at Nigerian Center. And as you know, taxes play a very critical role with immigration. Oftentimes, a lot of us concentrate so much on the legal aspect of immigration without paying too much attention on taxes. And when the opportunities for green card and petition and all of that now comes up, it becomes so difficult to get the benefit you want because for several years you've not filed taxes. Not just that, you need taxes pretty much to participate in the American experience. Any financial decisions you want to take in America that relates to acquiring any form of assets require you to show proof of taxes. And those who are not completely in status sometimes really struggle to go about the process of filing taxes because they don't have legal status yet. But in the United States, as long as you are living, breathing on the soil of these United States of America, you are required to file taxes, and you can now do so absolutely for free at the Nigerian Center. So we are so much excited about this. I think the only requirement is you have to make less than $64,000 a year. Okay, so come for that and we'll answer the questions that you may have. Next one is our clinic hours, Thursdays, in-person walk-in in Washington, D.C. If you're not in Washington, D.C., you can submit an online inquiry. There's a small fee to do that, take advantage of the virtual option, or you can always come to the center for free. Get involved. This video will be available on our YouTube page. We'll be sending the link shortly after this event. Previous recordings of our workshops from humanitarian-based visas, employment-based 1 to 5, ITIN, asylum, work authorizations. You can find all of TPS. You can find all of them on our YouTube page. Volunteer, I said that, nigeriancenter.org/serve. Community partners. This event is brought to you in collaboration with one of our community partners, Nigerian American Lawyers Association. You heard from two of their lawyers today. But if you have any touch point with any form of immigrant community, and please sign up to our community partners. It's a very short form to fill. We periodically hold events and advocacy opportunities with our community partners. If you're not following us on social media, please do so. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn, either Nigerian Center or the Nigerian Center. Speaking opportunities as well, please, you can fill out a speaking opportunity form on our website and we'll reach out to you. Lastly, if you're not yet donating or supporting the Nigerian Center financially, we appeal to you to do so. Your contribution go a long way. They are life-changing programs at the Nigerian Center. Your contribution make it so. A lot of people actually want to be involved. You want to serve and contribute. The best way to support the Nigerian Center is being a donor. Even better still is become a recurring donor of any amount, even if it's $1. It goes a long way. That said, I want to say thank you so much for your time here today and expect to hear from us very soon by email. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye for now, everyone.